Thank you, Acting Speaker. I rise to speak in support of the motion that has been moved by the Minister for Housing, that this House notes since the start of the big housing build in November 2020, 7,600 homes are completed or underway, with Victoria on track to deliver over 12,000 much-needed social and affordable homes, and that the new $1 billion Regional Housing Fund will deliver more than 1,300 additional homes. Acting Speaker, as I said in my first speech, I am committed to working every day to help make our community a better, fairer place to live, learn, work, raise a family and retire in. However, fundamental in striving towards this socially just vision for my community is to help ensure that local people of all ages and backgrounds are afforded access to safe, secure and affordable housing. Housing that is close to jobs, education, transport, health, wellbeing and social services. Housing that provides a roof over one's head and homes that provide the foundations for better livelihoods. The Labor movement has long recognised that housing is a basic human right, which any responsible political party of government must strive to improve the provision of, whether it be for first home buyers, families, young people, retirees and renters, or whether it be for people experiencing housing stress or homelessness through the provision of greater affordable housing, public housing, social and community housing. Every Victorian deserves a safe place to live with in dignity. In this respect, I am very proud to be part of an Andrews Labor government that continues to take real action when it comes to lifting and improving housing supply and standards through a number of initiatives, including through, of course, the $5.3 billion Big Housing Build program, which is delivering that record pipeline of 12,000 new social and affordable homes, an uplift of at least 10% in new social housing dwellings and 2,400 affordable homes across Victoria. This is the biggest ever investment into public, social, affordable housing by any state or territory government in the history of Australia. But the big build has also been accompanied by a number of other housing policies, of course, such as the government's previously introduced rental fairness package, which cracked down on rental bidding, improved rental property standards, helped tenants stay on longer leases, and limited rental increases to once a year to give renters more financial stability. However, it's the big housing build which is particularly playing the driving role in constructing the thousands of new homes for Victorians in need, whilst creating thousands of new jobs. Every new social and affordable home being built through the government's Big Build program is a home that is taking pressure out of the housing market and increasing supply and stock. Every new dwelling being delivered through the Big Build is also providing a home to a family in need, whilst improving housing affordability and putting downward pressure on overall rent prices in the private market. In my community, I am very proud, Acting Speaker, to report to the House that the Victorian Labor government is taking that real action via the Big Housing Build program to improve and revitalise local public housing, social housing and affordable housing stock. Across Marybeck, the Andrews Labor government has to date invested more than $200 million via the Big Build to deliver and upgrade more than 800 homes. 800. However, as part of this ongoing rollout, I would like to draw the House's attention to the Harvest Square project in Brunswick West, which I am particularly proud of. This landmark $86 million Big Build project in Brunswick West will deliver a significant number of new homes for those who need them most. Being delivered in partnership with Homes Victoria, AV Jennings and Women's Housing Limited, Harvest Square will create a total number of 198 new modern, sustainable and high-quality 1, 2 and 3 bedroom homes in the inner north, with the development to consist of 119 new social and community housing homes. 111 of these will be new social housing apartments that will be Homes Victoria dwellings. 8 of these will be community housing homes that will be Women's Housing Limited operated dwellings, as well as 79 new market homes, with provision made for 10% of market homes to be released to first home buyers housing, whilst 5% of the development will include provision for Disability Discrimination Act fully accessible homes, which will include accessibility-friendly drop-off areas, paths, lifts and car parking. Inside the homes, kitchens, bathrooms and storage will also be very accessible. Environmentally, Harvest Square has been sustainably and efficiently designed, with homes to be more comfortable as well as less expensive to heat and cool, carrying 5-star Green Star rating and a 7-star Nat Hers average rating. I'm very pleased to also report that Harvest Square will provide for new, safe and publicly accessible open and green spaces, including a green spine running through the site, delivering up to 3,200 square metres of open space, which will connect Dunstan Reserve to the north of the site, home of the mighty Brunswick City Soccer Club, with Albion Street to the south of the site too, via the green spine. The project promotes good design and incorporates the Office of the Victorian Government's Architect's expertise in the development, and provides for clear visual movement linkages between the public domain such as streets, footpaths, bicycle paths and open spaces. Strategically located to the 58 tram route along Melville Road, CityLink, Pascoe Road and the Craigieburn Rail Corridor, Harvest Square is extremely well situated for future residents to access jobs, learning, health and social services. But above all, the Harvest Square project will replace the former Grand Place, which was well and truly past its use-by date. Harvest Square is replacing the former 82 no longer fit-for-purpose Grand Place dwellings with 119 new world-class social housing homes, a 45% increase of new social housing homes on the site, 45%. I'm particularly proud of the project's partnership with Women's Housing Limited, a statewide not-for-profit organisation that provides low-cost housing to women at risk of homelessness. As stated in October 2020 by CEO of Women's Housing Limited, Judy Lyne, and I quote, "Women's Housing Limited has worked closely with the Department of Health and Human Services and AV Jennings to bring this project to life, and we are delighted to be part of this exciting housing development. The old run-down walk-ups at Grand Place will be replaced with new energy-efficient homes that are not only better to live in but more affordable for our tenants. We see Grand Place as a great example of social housing growth in Victoria," end quote. That is the view of Women's Housing Limited in Victoria here, Acting Speaker. The Harvest Square project is also supporting a massive 770 jobs, with construction of Harvest Square's social housing and market apartment stage of the project having commenced in early 22, and with the social housing stage on track to be completed by 2024. I was very pleased to have recently visited Harvest Square with the Minister for Housing as well as local councillor Lambros Tapinos on Wednesday the 26th of July last week to celebrate the project's topping out milestone. I'd like to also acknowledge former local MP Carlo Carli, who chaired the Community Consultative Committee on the project, as well as Parliamentary Secretary Sheena Watt, who's done amazing work on this project too. However, whilst the Andrews Labor government has invested to deliver this real project, I think it's also important to note that there were others who sadly did actively oppose Harvest Square, and if they had their way, would have stopped Harvest Square from proceeding. Can anyone guess which inner-city political party took this position? I wonder if anyone can guess. I am here, of course, referring to the Greens political party and the Greens councillors on Marybeck Council and the Greens members of Parliament in this building. In this respect, I refer the Chamber, Acting Speaker, to the minutes of the Marybeck Council meeting of 16 December 2020, which considered and voted on replacing Grand Place with the then Harvest Square proposal. And can anyone guess how the Greens councillors voted? Can you? Well, I regret to inform the House that on the 16th of December Council meeting, surprise, surprise, the 4 Marybeck Greens councillors voted against Harvest Square being built. They voted against it. And in doing so, let the record show, Acting Speaker, that the 4 Marybeck Greens councillors voted against increasing local social and local affordable housing in Brunswick West. Absolutely shameful. Luckily, cooler and more reasonable heads prevailed at the meeting, with the majority of councillors, including Councillor Lambros Tapinos and Councillor Anna Livia Cardley, thankfully voting in favour to support Harvest Square. However, the Greens' opposition to Harvest Square didn't just start and stop at the December 2020 meeting. In fact, it dates as far back as the 3rd of June 2018, when the Greens councillors joined with the leader of the Victorian Greens and the Greens member for Brunswick to actively protest against more social and affordable housing being built at Grand Place. But don't just take my word for it. I encourage members to have a look on their social media pages which promoted all of this activity. It was also Green state parliamentarians who regularly and loudly voiced their opposition at Harvest Square. And, you know, basically what the Greens are doing now at Barrack Beacon in Port Melbourne is exactly what they did at Harvest Square in Brunswick West. On the 24th of August 2019, the Greens member for Brunswick organised a protest on the site to oppose Harvest Square. In this respect, I refer the House to the contribution of the Leader of the Greens in the Legislative Council, the 28th of August 2019, in which she talked up the Greens' opposition that had taken place. And I refer to her comments where she said, "On Saturday the 24th of August 2019, local residents joined with my colleague Dr Tim Reid and me as we came together to protest the so-called Public Housing Renewal Program. There is nothing progressive about this program," is what she said, Acting Speaker. Hypocrisy from the Greens at its finest, Acting Speaker, agitating fear and uncertainty amongst the community and claiming that 119 new social community dwellings, a 45% increase on the site, is not progressive policy. Hypocrisy from the Greens, Acting Speaker, to also claim that the new social homes dedicated for women's housing and women in distress, as supported by Women's Housing Limited, is not progressive policy. Hypocrisy from the Greens to oppose increasing housing stock to support people in need, first home buyers and people with disability in the northern suburbs. How is that not progressive policy? What is even more hypocritical is that if you go to the website of the Greens member for Brunswick, he specifically lists 6 of his policy priorities as a local member, one of which includes that he supposedly supports, and I quote, "housing development that works for people." The Greens' plan for housing includes fairer housing, including via building more affordable housing, end quote. According to that double-speak Greens logic, however, Acting Speaker, Harvestware apparently does not fit the bill. Speaker, I'm very proud to be here supporting this project.